So first of all, to get things started, I am joined today by Parker Johnson, who is our Associate Product Manager on our OTIF solution. And he has been diving into the world of compliance for several years now, talking with hundreds of Walmart suppliers, understanding Walmart's OTIF and SQEP requirements. And at this point, between packaging guides and SQEP and Fix-It, he has definitely become an expert on the SQEP side. So excited to hear from him today. And then my name is Ryan Petty. I am a senior product manager at SupplyPike and have worked on multiple solutions, including compliance and deductions across different retailers, but Walmart as well. And yeah, talked to a lot of suppliers who have been struggling with these compliance goals and meeting them and avoiding fines, and look forward to hearing from you and talk through how we might be able to help you with some of those challenges. All right, so if you are not familiar with us, we are SupplyPike, and we create cloud-based tools to help CPGs reduce revenue loss by automatically detecting and resolving retailer compliance issues. So a lot there, but the name of the game is helping you solve those revenue loss scenarios, deductions and chargebacks, to reduce those fines, recover them, and meet requirements so you're performing well for your customers. So we are trusted by over 400 CPGs with 25 billion and more in retail impact across 50 product categories. So all kinds of product categories and suppliers we work with. You can see some of the CPGs that we do work with. And if you are on the call today and we don't work with you already, we would love to add you into this and maybe put you on this slide in the future. So if you're not with us today, I hope to see you there in the future. And with that, I will kind of turn it over to Parker Johnson, who will kind of run through our solution. Parker?
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Ryan, for the intro, and we can go ahead and get started.
And Parker, sorry, I forgot one thing to say, in that if you have any questions on the call today, please feel free to, there's a Q&A button at the bottom of your webinar. So you can click on that and then ask a question, and we will be sure to get that answered as soon as we can. So please feel free to ask questions. Sorry to interrupt you, Parker. Please continue on.
No, all fine. Yeah, we can first start off with just our OTIF solution here. So the purpose of our app here is to really give you a blend of 6 different data sources all in one spot, from multiple retailing sources as well as high radius, to totally blend together anything you might need to kind of investigate root cause or just get more information about OTIF charges that you may be dealing with. So with our dashboard here, we kind of give you a quick overview of what your fines look like, also track your trends over time, and also store your data permanently. With Walmart deleting the data after 13 weeks in Retail Link, the detailed data at least, we store this all permanently so you don't lose that data and can go back and check these insights in the past, going back previously. We also give you kind of a breakdown here on the dashboard of your different scores for each kind of metric type here. So you can see in this example, this is a prepaid supplier, and you can see they also belong in the food and full category here as well. And just show you how close you are to that 98% goal for each of those scores there, the case volume for each of those, what the expected fines are for those categories, and then what potentially invalid fines we also find using some data points that we bring in, like I mentioned. Our dashboard also gives you some other general information like overfilled cases or overages here, and then a waterfall too. So you can kind of see where accountability lies between whether Walmart's accountable or you as a supplier accountable for the charges you're receiving here, and stuff being late or early or not in full there. And so with the dashboard, yeah, it's just kind of a quick overview, executive level, just to kind of get some quick insights into your OTIF overall. But to get more into the weeds of things, you can look at each of your orders in this kind of orders page here at the top. But yeah, in this orders page here, we give you these two tabs, one for prepaid on time, one for in full, or if you're collect, you'd have a collect tab there. And whatever in full category you may have would show up here, or if you have multiple, they would all kind of blend into one in full tab. But we give you more insight into each of these kind of POs overall. So you get some general data, like we said, a blend of kind of 6 different data sources. So you can see some different columns here of what might be relevant information to see, as well as like, cancel reason codes there you see, and different information like from the ASN side. Overall, we also have the ability to kind of give you a more detailed view of each PO as well and look at the line level, because that's we were the previous page looking at the overall line level. So this has more of the detailed level here at each line, and specifically which ones may have compliance issues versus not, as well as your delivery appointments, an overall summary of the PO as a whole and what went wrong, order dates, anything you can imagine that might be relevant for looking into these problems here on the orders page. And then some different filters to kind of blend your data in different ways. And we only show the ones that may be non-compliant first, but you can look at all your POs here as well if you needed to look at, any of them across the board. And some different filters we can get into when we talk about disputing here. But one of our best areas kind of to root cause your problems and dig into details of what went wrong on a certain month. One we love here is the carriers tab here. So basically breaks down your data based on all of your carriers that you work with. It sorts them first by your on-time score, because that's what they're graded on. But you can really click any of these columns and sort them by, what had the biggest fines. And overall, hold your carriers accountable by using this data to leverage it and see how others are performing compared to the ones that are underperforming. And the overall total expected fines, the case volume that they may be doing at these different carriers, and anything else that might be relevant at the overall level. You can also look at specific information for one of these carriers by clicking on one of these hyperlinks, which will give you a specific orders page only for that carrier, as well as some executive dashboard level information as well to compare. But our analysis page here, though, breaks down some different information here in tons of different ways, or you can create your even own custom segments of how you may want to visualize the data. Another great one here is the items kind of scorecard here. And you can see all of your different items based on item number and their on-time scores, or you can change. A good way to look at that is by the in full metric. So which items you're delivering in full versus which ones maybe not as much. And overall, just, continue to sort those however you best see fit. Remembering the 98% goal is what you're being held to here. So seeing which ones are underperforming, if you guys need to improve production up the chain, or anything else that might be helpful to help, deliver these on time and in full for any of these items. And I mentioned that we can click into one of these specific pages here for one of these item numbers. So this is a specific scorecard just for that item. So you can see just the fines you received on that specific item over time, as well as compliance trends based on that 98% score. Get that same general summary information. And then you can even scroll down further, and this compares it by destinations that those items are going to. So you can see for this item going to this specific DC here, that one has a 0% in full score. So might be one to look into further and how that one is routed specifically. You can also change the on-time side, or even change this from DCs to one of the other versions as well to get a kind of a double comparison there of what may have gone wrong in this specific instance. And once again, we're kind of looking at 1 month here at a time, but you can kind of bounce around or look at your overall scores in this version here.
Parker, I've got one question so far. You showed the carriers tab earlier. Can you share if that carriers tab would show both collect and prepaid carrier performance?
Yes, that would show both collect and prepaid. Collect may not be as relevant because that's mostly Walmart accountability as far as how they're delivering it, but there are still collect fines associated with each kind of carrier there. So definitely is available though to look into if you wanted to.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. And then kind of heading back to the dashboard to talk about our disputing functionality, which has been kind of brand new in the last year, but has really picked up, especially on the in full disputing side of what we see as invalid fines, is a great way to kind of recover invalid fines quickly while you're kind of root causing for these future fines and trying to prevent them from being actually invoiced on you. But for these invalid fines here, you can see we have this column here where we labeled the possible invalid fines. So all you have to do is just click this link, and our app's going to make this process really simple where we turn this filter on for you automatically. But we have two kind of scenarios here with disputing, looking at both ASN and DSS information. And to basically explain what that means is we're comparing what this ASN shipped column says compared to this OTIF cases received column. So anytime that you guys said you shipped based on this ASN shipped column, you shipped more than was received in this OTIF received column, which is what you guys are graded on for OTIF. That's where we see a lot of, possibility for an invalid fine that you may have received and is disputable. There's also the DSS scenario where this column might be higher, and that's just another Walmart data source that they use on their end. So it's like using Walmart's word against themselves. So we kind of have these two different scenarios baked into the app. There are no DSS for this case here, but either one works with that filter there, kind of checking your fine validity. And then as far as disputing goes, all you have to do is select this checkbox here. I'm not on a month that technically has an invoice, so I can go back to, say, August. And to see how that works in action, same kind of filters turned on there still, but you just check that box and it highlights all of these POs, which is 14 of them here in this case that fit that ASN scenario we talked about, that we're automatically identifying for you. You just hit dispute POs, and then we give you a quick kind of checkout screen summary here, filling out the amount, the reason, even auto-filling a comment for you, which you're welcome to change, but this is just kind of there as a placeholder. And then lastly, an Excel file with all this kind of information wrapped up in a retail link style format that makes it easy for HighRadius to review it and pay you guys back on these invalid charges.
Parker, just a question on these disputes. Are we seeing any kind of sort of average recovery rate on disputes right now with OTIF?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ryan. I think overall in the last 4 months on in full disputes, we've seen 89% of them at least get a partial approval from what we submitted. But the overall level based on your total in full fines, you can see in this case is 19,000 for this company in this month. We've seen on average about 15% of that get recovered from disputing, no matter what we dispute. So I know our invalid fine amount may not be very high in this case, but we have seen on average though, that we recover about 15% on average when we dispute these to HighRadius. So luckily enough, HighRadius does seem to be paying back a higher approved amount and dispute amount in some cases too. So something worth noting, and definitely just worth overall taking a stab at some of these disputes just to see what you can get back. But we have seen a lot of success on the in full side with that 89% at least getting a partial approval, and then the overall 15% recovery of your total in full fine. So not what we just identify as invalid.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, to jump over to maybe the SQEP or SQEP side, as we call it, we can go look at kind of what we're working on here at SupplyPike as well to fit under this kind of full compliance umbrella that we're starting to tackle here on our end. With SQEP here, you can see same kind of concept of the dashboard here. We've got some overall KPIs, giving you your total PO lines ordered because based on the PO accuracy segment of SQEP, that's a big factor there. You can also see the total inspected cases. So you can see how many of those that were actually ordered were inspected. And then as well, the number of defects that were actually incurred on those that were inspected. Just to overall get an idea of like, if you were being fully inspected on every case, what would you imagine the defects could be? And then an overall summary of your total defect charges there at the top as well, based on the date range selected here. And then just kind of scrolling down here in the initial dashboard kind of concept we have laid out. There's these 4 main categories that SQEP likes to break it down. So we're going to break it down like those here in this chart here. You can see this stripe month here would mean that's a projected month. So it's not officially invoiced, but definitely potential fines there as well. And then as we scroll further down, we would break this down in more detail. So you can see for this example, we don't have a time period listed here, but whatever time period you have selected could be 1 month or up to, you know, maybe a full year here in the app. You'd be able to select around and view these different categories based on the time period selected. We give you your DPM score for each of these categories, which really hasn't been truly explained, the reasoning for what is needed for this DPM, but also give you just your defects, comparative, inspected, overall, and the actual charges for each of these kind of categories here. So there's obviously these main 4 categories, and then there's defect level charges as well. So you can see barcode charges there, label, packaging, etc., all under that case compliance umbrella there, and what the specific defects and inspected counts are for each of those, just to kind of get an idea of how many defects you're seeing per inspection, and if it's supposed fully scaled up as we kind of expect SQEP to continue to ramp up as they add more automation to their DCs and look for these charges. Overall, just have more information to that. And then if you wanted to get more of a defect level view, you would just click any of these links or click our defects tab at the top. This would take us to kind of our defects page, where once again, we'll give you a quick summary of all of these kind of compliance fines, different tabs to click around and see your each of these kind of main 4 categories, because the data is a little bit different in each of them. So you can kind of get an idea of how they're measuring the SQEP charges for each of these, with there being different calculations for each of the fines in these categories, and what exactly is going on with each of them. But you can see kind of some of the planned filters here as well, breaking it down by vendor number, the defect type specifically to look at only defects of a certain defect type, whether it was found through inspection or automation. You know, eventually would love to also be checking for fine validity here as well. Ones that may have had fix-it tickets, or breaking it down if you have multiple info alignments, checking it through that way. And then I think the biggest value add here, though, with us initially, with what we're building for our SQEP, is going to be these kind of PO level detailed view of these defects. And that's just going to be a great place where our supplier wiki team is creating awesome content to help kind of explain what these defects mean, because it seems like a lot of what people struggle with is just knowing with all these kind of different defects, and there being 63 of them with SQEP so far, and then more coming, it seems like, with the transportation phase rolling out here soon. Just learning more about these defects, why you're getting them, and how to fix them basically is what we're going to be including in with our linked content here, based on what you see in this table here. So at the PO level, a PO can have multiple defects. So you can see this is kind of summarizing the different categories and the defect types we see, and the sub defect types you may see for a certain month here, as well as just some other dummy data as far as what PO data you see on your end. Another value add here is we're going to bring in those images as well from the SQEP dashboard and fix-it area to be able to kind of give you these photos better organized and rotatable, because I know they have had problems with these being upside down or black and white in some places and not in color in others. So having those here for you. More information on your kind of fix-it ticket information here. And then also just kind of more line level data if you wanted to look into that specifically for each of these kind of tabs here under a certain PO as well. But yeah, that is really the overall summary though of our kind of SQEP MVP solution here that we're kind of working on. So really excited to kind of get this one rolled out here soon to kind of pair with our OTIF solution we have as well, to help you out with your full compliance umbrella and help you both prevent, reduce, and then eventually dispute on the SQEP side as well. So I think I'll jump back to the slides here real quick, and we can kind of just give a quick summary over everything again, and also look at the timelines of some of these SQEP launch dates and whatnot, what we expect to kind of be delivering here.
Sounds good, Parker. Yeah, and we did have one more question. I saw on the OTIF data, it looked like there was some ASN information and DSS. Can you share, what kinds of data are we pulling into the compliance solution? Just maybe a high level.
Yeah, for the OTIF solution, we've got 6 different sources. So there's the OTIF dashboard is kind of the standard main bulk of this that kind of fills out a lot of the main detail, but we also have the ASN dashboard, the transportation portal, ticket portal. Trying to think of the other ones off the top of my head. Ryan, you may know a few extra as well.
Yeah, I think the delivery appointments for prepaid suppliers, and then DSS for item information and receiving reports. And then of course, high radius, I think the last of it. So.
Yep, that's exactly right. And high radius is kind of outside of Retail Link, but most people should have access to that already. And if they don't, there's someone you can reach out to. So you can always ask us for help there if you don't have a high radius account set up.
And there was one more, sorry, on the transportation supply chain portal has the routings for collect suppliers. And I believe that's something else in there, right, Parker?
Yep, that's exactly right.
I'll let you go on.
So yeah, to head back to the slides and just get a quick summary of everything we talked about here. It's loading here. May have gone too forward. There we go. So yeah, the summarize OTIF radar, then again, we automatically identify invalid fines for you where you saw in the app, and we tested out that dispute there. We also just kind of create the dispute documents all in one file with the relevant information that high radius requests there, automatically part of that process, which helps, just overall disputing the fines and getting that paid back by high radius. So that's all tracked as well through our disputes tab, which we didn't really spotlight too much, but then lastly, of course, is the root causing and preventing and reducing fines. So looking into the issues of your supply chain, looking into carriers or specific items or different DCs that may be having problems but are bringing down your score overall. You may be better off than you thought, but it's just certain problem areas that you can easily fix to kind of help improve your score and reduce these fines overall. And then to summarize SQEP again, bringing in kind of 4 sources of relevant data, with that being the SQEP dashboard and Retail Link, Fix-It, ASN data, as well as high radius. It's kind of the main 4 with additionals available as well to kind of be, as we learn through the process here, what might be relevant to bring in for the SQEP solution, more data sources to come. But yeah, starting off just the same kind of idea of root causing and finding these SQEP issues, learning more about them, why you're getting the charges, how big the problem is, and what it takes to fix them. And we mentioned those in-app explanations for all these defects, and kind of just getting more information at the sub-defect level, because there is so much to learn there and kind of uncover. And then, hopefully if process automation for Fix-It as well. There hasn't been a ton of incentives to actually need to, submit those fixed tickets yet, beyond, trying to kind of trial disputing through Fix-It in a way, but more work to be done there on our end as well. And then just kind of look at the overall SQEP roadmap. You can see Q2 is what we're in right now, and we're working on a kind of a visibility piece for this SQEP app. So just kind of laying the foundation of root cause and process efficiency, and kind of digging into these reasons and causes. That's expected to be sometime here in Q2. So you can kind of see where we have that marked off there for the second half of Q2 here. And then would like to tackle in Q3 the disputing functions. Specifically, some of the main 5 defects we see, one of those being overages would be one we're going to be tackling with that disputing functionality. Another one has to deal with the ASN not downloaded piece, which basically means that your ASNs may have not been sent, or they were sent in the wrong format, or they just weren't delivered before the truck that you shipped reached the DC where they were supposed to be receiving that, and the ASN was supposed to kind of notify them of that. So those are 2 of the big pain points we see of SQEP, and would love to be able to help with disputing those. So yeah, that's kind of our general SQEP product roadmap overall, but definitely would love, more insight and feedback from you guys and our customers and suppliers that we work with. What would be most helpful? And yeah, I think we can open up to a live Q&A now. Already answered a few questions, but would love to answer some more.
Yeah, Parker, I think you kind of answered one just a moment ago. We got a question of, love the SQEP dashboard, but when will it be available? So was the dashboard within that sort of Q2 visibility goal? Is that right?
Yep, the dashboard and defects page are all part of that kind of Q2 visibility, as well as that details page of getting those linked articles to kind of help out with your information sources overall, and with disputing stuff coming later and more of the fix it stuff coming later.
Okay, awesome. Well, if you have any questions that we haven't answered yet about anything Walmart compliance and our solution towards that, please send in your Q&A. We got just a couple more minutes, so we'll hang out if there's any questions. One I have, Parker, is how do you feel about pronunciation of SQEP versus SQEP? What's your preference?
I think we have pretty much locked in here that we're going with SQEP. It's the easiest way to say it in our minds, even though there's no U there to make it officially SQEP. I think it's the fastest way to deliver that word that we just keep repeating over and over here on our end. So that's what we like.
There's enough acronyms already. We'll just turn it into a word. Like it. Oh, thank you, Lindsay. More feedback. SQEP. Okay.
Good to hear. Yeah, I'd hate to have to say supplier quality excellence program each time too. So definitely avoid that.
Okay, we got one more question. Can you dispute an OTIF score? So that's a little interesting. At least I'd be curious of any additional details on that. If you mean, you know, can you sort of change the score? But definitely in terms of can you dispute an OTIF fine, Parker, maybe talk about that.
Yeah, any OTIF fine in our app is relevant to be disputed. So anything you maybe think is invalid is open to dispute in our app. So if you are protesting a score, there's also an associated fine with that. So I would say, yes, you can really dispute any score difference that you see in our page. One thing that I guess it is somewhat relevant to this question is if you do dispute and win a dispute, they will not go back and change your score and improve it. So if you were at 96%, you disputed the 4% you got charged for, and you won all that back, they're not going to go back and change your score to 100% in that case. So something to keep in mind as you kind of dispute OTIF charges and talk to your buyer about that.
Yep. Okay. Makes sense. So yes, you can dispute OTIF if Walmart is wrong. And one more, how far back are you able to dispute OTIF charges?
Yeah, another great question. As long as you have the data available, you can go back as far as 13 months to go back and dispute these. So as long as the data is available and for you guys to use on your end, totally able to go back 13 months of invoiced months, I should say too. So not even the ones that are currently active and not fully invoiced, which are still projected fines as far as Walmart's concerned. Got it.
All right. Well, I think we're right at time. And Parker, if you want to go to the next slide. So thank you guys for attending very much. And we'd love to talk to you more if you have any interest in this solution. So if you like, please reach out to us. You can see our emails on screen here, or of course, visit SupplyPike.com to learn more. And once again, thank you guys for joining. Hope you have a good rest of your day and look forward to chatting again.